Mhm. Mhm.
Hey, Jen, can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Jared, not Steve.
I can tell your voice.
I figured you could.
I mean, I don't see your face, but are you not coming? Are you not showing your face to the party?
The way that because I'm hosting it, so I can do the technical stuff. So, and
Well, why
there's
didn't
some
I do the
weirdness on.
technical stuff then? Just kidding. I showered. It's fine.
Ah,
And you can't even tell that I sunburnt the whole half of my face and self yesterday.
nice.
I forgot we were live streaming. Did we happen to mention that to the rest of the group?
No, but I'm going to.
Okay.
Did you see? Can you see the live stream?
Hi, Brendan.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Brendan.
How are you?
Oh, it's just the crew.
It's just the crew.
Hey, Brendan. I'm going to assign you as host and then restart my computer.
Okay.
I like how you always get signed up for things, Brendan.
I know. Plus,
Well,
this is on.
You can give it back once I come back if you want.
Steve, have you grown a large beard and stuff?
What?
I think Steve was trying to get in, and for like a really long time it said audio trying to kick in.
Oh, that was me. Yeah,
Oh.
that was me. My computer's being funny. All right. Brendan, you're the host.
Perfect. That's what I want.
All right, I'm signing off.
How many viewers do we have on YouTube?
I don't know how to tell that.
No clue either.
I forgot that it was going to be live streamed until I got in, and then I remembered.
No,
How you doing, Brendan?
doing all right.
Yeah. More grateful for the dog than normal.
Yeah, I mean, things are getting a little. Ooh, should I let these people join?
Oh, you have to let people in.
I have to manage.
This
Yeah,
is true.
Love you. Hit us up after. Let me know.
Hey, Christina.
Hi. How's it
Hello.
going? Hold on, I gotta get my camera on.
Oh.
Oh, there.
There you are.
Hi guys.
Hi.
How's it
Couple,
going?
couple
Yeah.
knives behind you. A little.
Oh yeah.
Please
Yep.
get
My
too
little
crazy.
chopping block.
Yeah.
So I've discovered during this pandemic that my dog hates Zoom, and I don't have the right headphones to plug in my computer. So I'm gonna mute unless I'm talking, or you'll hear me doing this the whole time.
Aw.
I
Doesn't
think
like,
I'm wondering if it's something with his ears.
doesn't like all the new voices, like trying to protect you from
Yeah,
strangers.
something. It's kind of strange. I'm not sure exactly what it is. Or I'm wondering if there's like a frequency put out by it. That's
Oh.
Oh, Sarah's trying to join. Should I admit her?
no. Just kidding. Can't join us.
Oh, we're
Administrator
live
now.
streaming on YouTube too. I think Jared forgot to include that in the invite, but in order to meet the public open to the public requirements, we will be live streaming the meeting today. And I don't know if that was in the invitation.
We are live.
We are. We
Live.
have
Hi, Sarah. Hi, Jeremy.
Where are we streaming?
YouTube.
YouTube, live streaming through
Yep.
YouTube.
We have 100,000 people watching.
Have we, are we recording?
That I do not know. Jared had to leave the admin up to Brendan temporarily, and he left the meeting and then he's coming back. Hi, Jeremy.
Can you guys see
Okay.
if it's,
Laura.
can you guys see the
Hi.
YouTube link?
Did we,
I only see it say live on YouTube. I don't actually see.
I have like a drop down that I can go to the YouTube link.
I think because you're the administrator. Hi, Aaron.
I can try to record if you're not already.
I think
Maybe
think
do
it'll-
that just in case whatever Jared has. I think Jared said that he was gonna do the live YouTube. and
Okay, but because we didn't announce that we're streaming, that's not really gonna fulfill any sort of open to the public.
Sarah, I think it'll we live stream it to YouTube and then it'll save.
It'll save it to,
Yep.
for people to watch on YouTube later. Okay.
I think so. And because it's a live stream, it'll be, you know, there's no chopping up the content or anything. So maybe it's more genuine that way or something. I don't know.
So welcome. I was just telling everybody that we're live streaming the meeting on YouTube.
That up in the corner, and I
Hi.
saw Jared mentioned it in the email.
You said he did not?
He did.
He did. Okay. I didn't see it. Apparently I've missed
Said
it.
there will also be a live stream on YouTube, which I will share as it is available. That was just in the email that came through today.
Oh,
We have 0 viewers right now. So
hi, Remy. Oh, hi, Remy.
Hey y'all. Hello.
I keep
I'll
on.
try to send everyone.
audio kicks in.
What'd you say?
I keep on saying hi before people's audio kicks in.
Oh, hey baby doll.
So I
Well,
just sent
Brendan,
in
you're
the-
winning the most numbers in your background award tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Christina, you've got the most knives award. And
Plants. Look at those plants.
Laura's got some most plants award.
My plant wall.
I just got one kind of sad plant over there.
I did send, I put if people can't find the YouTube link, I just put that in the chat. So
Thank you.
if you want to send it to your friends or like family or, you know.
This
any
is gonna
fans
be
or-
like live streamed.
It's being live streamed right
We are
now.
in fact live streaming right now.
All right, all right.
There are currently 0 viewers, so
Thank you, Brendan, for doing that.
there's no one actually watching this right now. Could be.
Probably ever. Well. Here comes Eddie. Welcome, Eddie. We're getting there.
I'm adding people.
I'm
Hey Eddie.
We got both errands.
going through the link right now. It looks like, and I'm talking with Steve, it doesn't look like Steve maybe got invited. He didn't get the link,
Oh.
so I'm forwarding that to him now.
Uh-oh. Hmm.
I think he didn't get on the email.
Oh, yeah, he was not on that email.
Or Jen, did you send that to him?
Yeah, I just did.
Thanks.
Okay, 'cause I can invite people, I guess, from,
Oh, you
This
can?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it might be better if you can try to invite him. I just sent him the email.
Hey, thank you.
There he is.
Hey,
Look at Mr. Walsh using all the technology.
look at you in the office, just holding the fort down right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I've even using one of those, what are they called? Like the geezer apps so that I look older through the computer.
Oh,
Nice.
Filter, I think.
Hi, Christina.
Insta filter.
Andy, Sarah.
Just a reminder that we're live streaming the meeting tonight on YouTube.
Thank you very much.
That's a great reminder. Great
Well,
reminder.
hello, Lauren. Hi.
Hi.
I will be on my best behavior.
All right, we have got 10 board members on board right now. Unintended, I guess. And I heard from Bree that she will likely be a little late because she's in another board meeting that's running late right now. And then I guess Jared will be rejoining us at some point, which I think we can go ahead and probably get started. So Strange times. Maggie, how are you doing over there? Are we good to roll?
I think so. Hold on. Am I on?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask you all to unmute yourselves
Oh,
so that I can do a roll call.
Ah,
where's my
And I'm also going to ask today that whenever you make a motion or a second, that you please state your name. So, Aaron Bensinger.
Present. This is Erin Bensinger and I'm present.
Eddie DeGraw.
Eddie DeGraw, and I'm present.
Brendan Maloney.
Present.
Sarah Ruggles.
I'm here.
Jared Selner. Not here.
He's just joining.
Is he here right now? Jared, are you here? Oh, nope. Christina Smith.
Present.
Margaret Wilson, present. Laura Satino.
Present.
Jeremy Turpening.
I second that motion.
You got to say your name if you're going to do that, Jeremy.
Oh crap, Jeremy.
Gwendolyn Hooker. Nope. Aaron Harris.
Present.
Breon Fonville, not present, but expected later. Remy Harrington.
Present.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Hold on. Staff present includes Steve Walsh and Jen Knapp, correct?
correct?
There we have it, Jared. I would also ask if one of you wouldn't mind forwarding the invitation link to the Zoom meeting to Breon. She just messaged me that she can't find the link right now.
Do you have access to that, Jared?
All right. Well, I was not able to get our consent items out of the way ahead of time because there was quite a few loose ends that required a little delay in putting those together for everyone, unfortunately. So we should have all received tonight's agenda along with the February meeting minutes. That was a long time ago. The March and April EC meeting minutes, which I hope everybody had a chance to look over those, especially those April EC meeting minutes. Had some really important details for tonight's meeting in there. And then we've also got our February and March financial statements for this year. So this is a pretty robust slate of consent items for tonight. Are there any comments, questions, or corrections for any of those items, tonight's agenda, before someone might make a motion related to our consent items?
Sorry, I was hearing a little bit of echo on somebody. I'm so sorry about this. What was the title of the email that the EC minutes from April were in? I'm not seeming to find those.
The EC minutes from April and March, hopefully, should have both been in that, just one big PDF attached to the email that said like VNA April 21st, 5:30 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am there. I just had not yet scrolled past the agenda. So
yeah, it should be both of those months meeting minutes, I believe were in that attachment.
Awesome.
For Jeremy, you got the Word documents from me, right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, great. Okay. So we're kind of going to probably be operating on a lag, a little bit of delay with pretty much everything tonight. So thanks for everyone's patience and just like observing some of the etiquette that will be required in order to make this all work. But I think that in absence of any comments or corrections or additions, if anyone would like to make a motion for those consent items.
Jeremy Turpening, I'd like to make a motion to accept.
Would anyone second that motion?
Support.
And that was Jared. Jared, your audio is a little fuzzy. I'm not sure if anybody else is experiencing the same. Okay. All in favor of the motion to approve all of those consent items, A through D?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We're gonna do a check-in tonight. I hope it doesn't seem silly to everybody. I kind of figured it would be actually maybe a little extra good to do right now. It's been a really long time since we've seen each other, right? Like years. I got a couple of options. Obviously, we don't really have a table to go around, so I think we can just do kind of pop-up style, but maybe just raise your hand, and I'll go around the room, so to speak. So I guess, you know, I've really been trying as much as possible to cultivate positivity in my life, like maybe more than ever right now. And I thought maybe it would be a good idea for us to talk about some of the positive things that we have in our lives right now, or, you know, maybe like a little sort of fluffy alternative for that I liked that Maggie suggested. So question for our check-in, what have you found that's giving you some strength or some peace or some comfort lately? Or what's your favorite spring flower? Or both?
I can go because you just made it really easy for me.
Brianne, yeah.
Also, hi everybody. Sorry I'm late. I just came from another meeting.
Hi, Brianne.
So my thing that also, I feel like my tongue is purple and it looks really weird. I'm really distracted by my, I should turn my camera off.
It's for the Prince special tonight, isn't it?
What's that?
It's for the Prince tribute tonight, isn't it? It's in honor of the
There's
Prince.
a Prince tribute happening tonight?
Yeah, we got to wrap this up. Yep.
Oh, let's get to it. Let's get to it.
Just kidding.
Okay. Well, so my thing has definitely been gardening, and I feel like that's super cliche sounding right now because everybody's like rushing to the store to get gardening supplies. People are up in arms because they can't get their hands on gardening supplies, but I feel really lucky that I get to do that for part of my living. So I run the school garden program at Woodward Elementary School, and even though the kids aren't there right now, I'm still keeping things growing for when they come back. And also applying for a grant right now that will hopefully allow me to make some of our programming virtual and be able to deliver some of the harvest to all of their houses and like enable them to do some gardening stuff at home. I'm really excited. So fingers crossed for me that we get that funding to be able to do that, because I think it'd be super cool. But yeah, I'm finding a lot of joy and peace and positivity in that right now. And every morning I've missed a couple mornings, that's a lie, but I've been getting up like around sunrise and going for a walk, and I found like a really nice path in Vine, which I'm really excited about, that kind of lets me be like in the midst of trees and not necessarily having to like walk a residential path. So that's been really fun, and I have been trying to pay more attention to wildflowers, and I have an ID book at home, and I've been trying to like ID one new flower a day. So right now my favorite is bloodroot because I see all these really cool little patches of it.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, so that's mine.
I've just been playing this. That's my check-in.
We should do this popcorn style and call on people.
I guess I can do a little
I know,
check-in.
I was about to start putting the heat on if, did we have
And
a
just
Steve?
so you guys know too, you can raise your virtual hand.
Thank you, Brendan. I
Yeah.
didn't see that. I see that.
Done a lot of Zoom calls. So,
Yeah, my round of applause for Brendan.
thank you.
Steve?
Oh,
So yeah, what's something that's been, I mean, I obviously run a lot, like you can see in the background. And just finding new paths is kind of nice. And what's kind of odd is I see so many people out and about trying to get outside, and it's reassuring, but then it's also like trying to dodge people. So what's been kind of fun is finding new areas that I enjoy that necessarily other people can't find. So
Dodging people on the streets feels so inhumane. I don't know if anybody else is feeling that, but like walking on the sidewalk and then getting off and it's just like sad and weird.
Yeah, my 5-year-old took it super seriously, and when we walked by Davis Street Park the day that they enacted the like park's total shutdown, not only did she scold audibly the entire time we walked down the block, the kids who were skateboarding together, when a woman came and passed by us and didn't provide adequate social distancing for Jasmine, Jasmine ran in a giant circle yelling, "I don't want to get coronavirus!" as she passed the lady. So I guess that would be what I'm grateful for, is that my kids are rolling with it as best they can, and that's all you can ask for.
absolutely. I'm grateful to have had this time to repair ruptures that I've had with my teenage daughter. And it's been really a wonderful time for us. She suffers from a lot of anxiety, and not being in school has really brought out some of the wonderful things about her that we love. And she's been delightful to have at home, and it's been absolutely, it made me feel very fortunate for this time.
I'll piggyback off of Steve. That was going to be mine. Just having like the space to have different moments with my teenagers that I keep thinking isn't going to, and I say out loud to them, since I have college students also, that it's not going to be that much longer that we're going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
They're going to be gone soon. So we've been cultivating different ways of just spending more quality time together, which I think everyone's doing. But our new favorite this week, to piggyback on everyone's, is walking, and we're doing the Grant Hill Challenge. And I'm really sore on day 2 of walking up Grant Hill. So we tried to do a jump rope challenge that we would get our cardio in with, and none of us can jump rope anymore, especially me. So figuring out ways to just, I have a rule that we have like 2 check-ins per day, that we do something physical together, and then later the next check-in is like mostly around dinner, where we extend that time to be a lot longer than usual and just play games or cook dinner together or listen to music. Or it should be like an hour instead of the 20-minute eat and run. So
yeah, love it.
Aaron, what is the Grant Hill Challenge?
Oh, like, just walking up. My son is 14 and he's an athlete. So they live with me half the time and their dad half the time. So when he's here, he's like, what am I supposed to do to work out? So he has a backyard workout. And so I said one day, I was like, I'm going to draw out a route for you to run. And I included like Grant Street up the hill. And he called me like halfway through his run and was like, I can't breathe. Why did you tell me to run up this hill? And so now I'm like, okay, we'll do it with you. And that hill is not easy. It's not an easy hill. So yeah, yesterday my daughter tried to veer off into the woods and started like picking up trash, and I'm screaming down the hill like, this is not the time to pick up trash. Don't touch your face. And yeah, so it's a hard hill. It's a tough one. So I call it about a 12 incline on if we were on a treadmill, at least.
I can go next. One sort of unexpected silver lining of just all of the things that have been happening and sort of the move toward more like digital communication is that I've been staying in a lot better touch with friends that live far away than I ever had before, which is a little bittersweet, but it's nice. I've been calling home a lot and talking to a lot of different family members, having regular online, game and fun hangout nights with friends that live all over the place. So it's been a tiny silver lining to have everybody's schedule aligned for like the first time ever and probably the last time forever. So
I had started to do an update, but then I think my feed froze. Did you guys get mine at all? Dope.
no, we did not.
Well, I've just been doing this all the time. I sit in this chair and I play guitar and I watch things on the computer. That's my whole update.
Right on. Singing the Cowboy Blues.
I'll go. Hey everybody. I am finding a lot of hope in my organizing efforts. Just, of course, I have been deeply enthralled in the news and just looking at the different impacts, the implications of what this COVID situation has been, throughout the nation and throughout the world. It's not, opportunistic for me to say this, but it just is reinforcing the urgency behind the organizing efforts that I have, the Work Grown Cooperative that I am hoping to develop, and just all of the different layers of what, I believe my life's work to be, including, the discontent that I have felt in what my daughter's options were in terms of the education system, and how, being here with my daughter, just being domestic as a single parent to my very active and inquisitive and brilliant 11-year-old daughter who holds me accountable in every single way possible. Like everybody else, who said reconnecting with friends. I've loved that. Having more thoughtful conversations surrounding even my organizing efforts. That's been really exciting to have. I've been on so many Zoom calls and just hearing people's thoughts about messaging even. That's been really inspiring too, so that we can, everybody's talking about this new normal and going back and all this other kind of stuff. And it's just, I feel really hopeful about the people that I'm communicating with, like how they want to engage in community, like after COVID, post COVID, it's just I've seen so many different shifts in my lifetime, and I'm 39 years old, and it's just, I've never seen anything like this. And it's just interesting. And I just want to always be a lifelong learner. And that's it. And I want to go on these paths that you guys are talking about. We went on a walk to Kleinstock, and I love it. The preserve, like I love it so much over there. It's like being outside is just like a newfound experience again or something. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's like I feel like I'm a kid again. But it's cool, so that's it.
Hey, I can go next. So yeah, a couple things that have been energizing me lately have been, so I work with youth, and their resiliency has just been amazing to watch, how adaptable they've been to this situation. And I've really found that like talking to them and saying in communication, we've been doing Zoom meetings, which is kind of a challenge when you have a bunch of teenagers on a Zoom call, but it's like always hilarious, always fun. And I've just been like super grateful, actually realizing how much they help me, and staying in touch with them has just been awesome. Seeing them kind of grow, and for some reason they look so much older to me. I don't know why. And then I've also been painting, which is something I haven't really made time for recently, and that's been really therapeutic for me in this challenging time. So also my favorite spring flowers might be cliche, but I just love daffodils. I think they're so cute and pretty, and they're always the first ones to show spring. And yeah, so daffodils for life. Thanks.
Cool.
I'll go ahead and go next because I'll just repeat what Christina said about kids working with teens is great right now. Also, yeah, very weird. I think them seeming older is because I'm seeing them in like their like kind of weird natural habitats. And so suddenly like some of my more nervous kids are like very cool teens because they're like, this is my cool teen bedroom that I'm in. And like, and talking to them through the internet, which is like, they're like, I get this better than you do. So they're like very comfortable. I think,
Yeah.
like, you know, some of them have taken like such a duck to water to the whole my program is through Western, so we do teams is like Western's thing. And they're like, we like this better than normal class sometimes. And I'm like, I'm so glad. That helps a lot. I'm glad someone's like having a better time. So that's really nice. And I know nothing about flowers, so I think everything is pretty, and I find out they're weeds half the time. So
Well, I actually am on the other end of things because I work with seniors. And I never thought I would say this as an adult, but I'm feeling really grateful for my mom lately. Because she is just being smart and safe, and she's staying home, and she's ragging on all the folks who aren't doing it right. And I appreciate her so much right now, and that is really not something that I'm used to saying. Because my seniors at work, I'm having a lot of struggles with a lot of them, just trying to get them to stay home. It's just so difficult to get people to just do that simple thing, even when they have congestive heart failure and are 87 years old. Like it's a struggle, but like I feel pretty close with my mom right now, and I think weirdly, like I think the video chats have really been big for me. I'm like a real serious extrovert, and this isolation stuff, it's really starting to hit me lately. And I read this thing today actually that I think is going to be a game changer about how these video chats, like they're really helpful and really connective and important right now, but also like somehow confusingly exhausting too at the same time. And I was like, that resonates so much. And I kept reading, and it said that one part of that, it had a couple explanations, but one part of it was saying that because you're looking at your own face the whole time, you're not really as present in your interactions as we normally are when we're person to person. And so I've decided that like maybe after tonight, I'm going to start just like putting a sticky note over myself on the screen and just try to just get more present with my people. But the video chats have been kind of saving me a lot too.
My thing definitely has to be that all the Amish that was beat into me as a child is now resonating for the entire community's benefit. I've passed out so much canned food, loaves of bread, and squirrel trapping knowledge that I feel that Jed Clampett might be a relation of mine. It's actually gone quite well through this whole quarantine because my purge team is pretty strong. And my favorite flower would be the Peruvian daffodil or the grape thumb hyacinth.
What's with the squirrel trapping?
So we have destructive squirrels in our neighborhood. They're a little boisterous, but they're mostly fat and very interactive with humans. So we've been rehousing them. And we've had some good successes, but we've caught so far 3 possums, 2 raccoons, and 13 squirrels in different parts of the neighborhood. And we just have an abundance of squirrels at the moment.
You're talking about
So-
here in Vine, right?
Yeah, right on Osborne Street, across from the
yeah,
VNA.
I think I've just kind of accepted that as a norm. I'm like, why are we trapping them? They just live in our walls. Just let it be.
Well, yeah, that was sort of the problem. They were getting in people's property, so I have live traps all over, and it's fun when the blind guy goes up and pokes the cage with the stick to see if he's got something. I think some of the neighbors really enjoyed that visual.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait, where are you releasing them? The possums especially.
The possums have gone out to Asylum Lake. They have beneficial properties. The raccoon had to be rehoused with a habitat client company out of Pawpaw. They took him because he was over a year old and they can be destructive. But the squirrels, they almost all go to the preserve route to Chipman, something along those lines.
Cool.
I think it's just Jen and I, right?
If y'all want to go,
Good job keeping track, Eddie.
don't have to. Yeah.
The countdown. I've had my ups and downs. This has been a challenge. But I have gotten to do a lot of organizing. It's exhausting and I hit a wall sometime last month, so I've been taking a break from that. But there's a mask project that I helped start and we've sewn over 20,000 masks.
Good job.
I have not alone sewn over 20,000 masks, but that group that was started on Facebook has, so that's good. I have been gardening a lot at my own house, which is awesome. And then we have baby bunnies, which if you all hold on, I have a special treat for everybody. They kind of look gross, like naked mole rats, so hold on. Can you guys see that?
There you go, Erin. You could get a bunny instead of a dog. Just
I've never seen a baby bunny. I just realized ever in my life.
Oh my gosh.
Thing. They're so cute. Sorry, that's my face.
Wait, put it back. Put it back.
Can we
Anyway,
see again? Tegan wants to see Eddie.
Okay, sorry.
I was gonna say, go get yourself.
I don't know what you guys can see. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Aren't they
Aw,
cute?
they're so little.
Yep. Watch, they hop when you touch them.
So cute. Aw.
What do you have them wrapped up in?
That's the mother's wool.
Oh.
You just shaved it off,
No,
or you
she
just
pulled
collected
it
a bunch that shedded?
Nope, it's all natural. She pulled it herself to make a nest before the babies were born.
Oh my gosh.
Aren't they cool? They look like rabbits now. 2 days ago, they looked like little pigs. Anyway, that's our
way
special
cool.
show and tell.
Yay. I don't want to go after that.
Well, everybody was panic shopping, and I panic bred the rabbits. So
Hey, that's so nice.
shows that we've been in quarantine for over 30 days now.
What was the question again? I like
What have you
lilacs.
found that has given you strength?
Oh,
during this time?
For comfort
Comfort.
or flower.
What
super
flower?
grateful for the same girl gang I had before the pandemic. I've been doing tons of cry therapy at home and also Zoom therapy. So those are my things giving me strength right now, and an abundance of absolutely no demands other than the vine. I mean, I did my hair today, but that's only because of this. And other than that, for the first time in my 43 years of life I'm living alone. So I have a lot to be grateful for, and kind of only working through the guilt of how grateful I am.
Thank you so much, everybody. Obviously, we really needed to check in with each other, I think. That was really good. That's really time well spent.
Hey guys, before we move forward, I do just want to remind everybody, some people don't know maybe, we are live streaming. So that link is shared. Yeah, so pretty up. That link has been that link is shared to our Facebook, so I don't know if anybody's watching or not, but
It was important to show the rabbits.
no, the rabbits were super important. I just wanted to put that on the table. Anyway.
I'm glad that you said something. I noticed it at one point and I was like, here we go, baby's first live stream.
All right, well,
Hey world.
we are up to item number 4A on our agenda of our new business, which includes first our rent relief provision strategy, which was discussed at last week's executive committee Zoom meeting. It was a really great discussion. We got a lot of really good feedback from our staff, and we're able to kind of toss around different options, and kind of arrived at a recommendation that was included in the minutes. Hopefully everyone was able to review, but I'll briefly recap the EC recommendation that was proposed is here to be proposed to the board, which basically based on the recommendations of the staff, we decided to recommend a case-by-case rent relief option for our residential tenants to be determined by our staff. The dollar value of that on the anticipated need would not really predictably exceed any of the thresholds for any type of board approval. For our commercial tenants, a 50% rent reduction for the months of May and June. The estimated way that breaks down is let me see, like a 2 to 3 ratio. We've got 8,000 of the 20,000 monthly rental income is our residential income, and the commercial rent income accounts for about 12,000 of the 20,000. These are rough average numbers, but they're actually pretty close to the actual totals. So that means that a 50% reduction for May and June for our commercial tenants would amount to 6,000 per month of a waiver for both of those months, for a total of 12,000, in addition to the 20,000 that we've already approved last month. That would come to a $32,000 grand total over a 90-day period. Additionally, the recommendation included a payment plan option for our tenants who need the ability to pay that 50% reduced rate over a graduated payment plan over the remainder of the year, or whatever amount that they want to pay. It's pretty standard in housing to offer basically whatever payment plan, as long as they meet a minimum payment, and work that out on a case by case as well, along with waiving late fees over these 90 days. So those were the kind of nuts and bolts of what we arrived at last week. And I want to pause for a moment to see if anybody has some questions and some discussion about this. And I apologize that I'm not seeing everybody's video right now. So if you're raising your hand and I'm not seeing your video, it might be a little tricky. Just speak up if I'm not responding to that. Jeremy, did you raise your hand?
No, I was scratching
Oh.
my nose.
Sorry. Sorry.
You can use, I think Brendan pointed this out earlier, but down at the bottom of your controls, there's a reactions button and there's a thumbs up and a hand wave / clap.
Yeah. Thank you. So are there any questions about this? Does anybody want to hear anything from our staff about it, or possibly would anyone like to make a motion in absence of questions or comment?
I'm raising my hand. Eddie.
Yeah, Eddie, go ahead.
How has the response been from the tenants? Were they appreciative? Was it helpful?
Yeah, maybe Steve and Jen, if you want to speak to that.
Sure. We've gotten nice thank you cards from tenants, and been lots of nice comments, not via thank you cards, but yeah, we've heard from people who have been very appreciative, for sure.
I think a lot of our residential tenants have reiterated that this is one of the reasons why they're grateful that they live in the Vine and have us as a landlord, because we have allowed them to get to a place where they're actually getting their unemployment now, and that they're capable of paying their bills again. For our commercial tenants, I think that they're kind of just rolling with whatever we offer. I think that they're very grateful. I would say that I haven't had any complaints, of course. I have only had, I've had a lot of daily conversations with our tenants right now. I think a lot of people are in a lot of, they're not sure what's going to happen with their business. So I would just like to say thank you for everyone for supporting last month's decision. I know that Sarah put in the email, and I thought it was broken down really nicely. We did recover most of our funds that we forgave and rent relief through grants or other means. And I think that was great. We had people in the community who reached out to us to help support us because we were doing the right thing by our tenants. But yeah, I would say everyone's been grateful. Kind of surprised and in gratitude also.
And if I could just quickly add to those comments as well, that on our social media, our announcement of the rent relief received kind of a record in terms of publication and sharing and resharing. We reached over 13,000 people with that post, which is outrageously higher than any other post that we've made on our social media in recent history, along with 109 likes and 0 frowny faces or sad faces. So I think that also speaks to the sort of reaction of the community.
There was a live article.
And sorry, Eddie and then Aaron, I think you both had comments.
I just also noticed it covered by the news. I don't remember if it was News Channel 3 or MLive, but it was nice to find that on Facebook that an article had been written about the work that the VNA was doing. Hopefully that article also spread the word so other landlords could follow in our footsteps, or at least see how it's been done.
That was our hopes as well.
I was just going to ask Jen or Steve, are you finding, so I know you said most of the tenants have received unemployment. Is that like the majority of them, or are there people still, I know you said case by case, but, and I'm not to break it down individually, but.
Right. So right now, and that's kind of why I made the recommendation that I made as far as additional rent relief. I think that our residential tenants have stabilized because they had options to get into the unemployment system a little bit earlier. I do not see though that same stability has happened within our commercial tenants yet, which is why I'm asking for the additional relief. And one of the reasons why I suggested that we do it for 2 months is because there will be, of course, even if the stay-at-home order were to be lifted tomorrow, I do think that it will take some time for our commercial tenants to see the foot traffic that they're used to see, or even for them to get their own processes down to keep their environment as safe as possible with the CDC guidelines. So it's kind of my next step is to start to work with the tenants on what we might deem as a viable, just verbal contract of how we're gonna reopen when we reopen. But yeah, thanks for the question, because I think stabilized are, all of our residential tenants are stabilized with the exception of maybe one, but I usually have that anyway. It's our commercial tenants that I worry about more now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions anybody has? Go ahead, Brendan. You'll have to unmute. Okay.
Yep.
You're muted.
You're
again.
still muted. Sorry.
There you go.
I just want to say, if you need help coming up with those recommendations, I'm sure there's plenty out there, but stuff from the hospital, I have like forms and forms and forms for, you know, what we're going to be doing for practices or any of those.
I'd
places.
love anything that you want to forward me, Brendan.
Okay, yeah, I'll be
as
happy.
informal but formal as possible.
Yeah, thank you, Brendan. That's great stuff. And Steve and I discussed earlier this week, or whatever day that was that we last met, just kind of improvising some additional safety measures for our space and for our tenants, and for pretty much anybody who lives in or comes into our building. So anything that anybody wants to send the way of our staff, I'm sure will be really well received right now. Any other comments or thoughts about this recommendation for May and June? And if you haven't yet had a chance to look over all the details of Steve's executive director report that was included in the board packet, there are some developments that go over some of the offsets of these losses that we have been approved for some really great grant funding lately. And, you know, just looking over our financials in general, and as we all know, we've been on a pretty good footing over the course of the last few years even, and increasingly so. So would anyone like to, unless there's any other questions, would anyone like to make any motion? And again, we're asking.
Eddie has a question.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I actually just have a comment. Since I'm still connected to Heirloom Arts, I just am receiving emails from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and just for everyone to just keep in the back of their mind, you know, at least the salon, the barbershop, and the tattoo shop will be getting more guidance from the health departments than the average, the record store is not getting that kind of guidance too. So I think that's just helpful to know in the back of our mind that they're not going to be making decisions willy-nilly on it, opening, as far as being able to like interact with people in their businesses without probably having to really, up the ante with their health precautions.
Yeah,
So.
and I can second that. I've made a number of calls to the Kalamazoo County Health Department over the last month, and I can say, like, they really have it together over there. I've also made calls to the Kent County Health Department, and just like, they don't even have their lines ringing through to human beings in a lot of cases over there. But the Kalamazoo County Health Department has been kind of extraordinary in terms of support and reactivity to community need right now. So I would second every word of that. So going back to item 4A.
You have a question, Brendan?
Uh-oh, muted. There we go.
Jared does.
Oh, sorry.
I would like to motion to pass the recommendation as stated.
Jeremy, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And go ahead and raise your hand in this case. Go ahead and raise your hand. All in favor? Keep them up. All right. And Eddie, I will ask that you abstain, just for the
Oh,
same
right.
reason as your abstention last month. And any opposed? All right, motion,
Is there a visual for abstaining?
sorry?
Visual hand motion for abstaining?
Oh, yeah, I guess there's not really, but we can.
I abstain. I'll put it on the record. I abstain.
We can just add that note to the record. Maggie's got it, I think. Yeah. Did you get that, Maggie? Did that vote come through okay? All right, thank you. Item 4B. This one is a real head scratcher, you guys. According to our bylaws, our annual member meeting is to be held in the month of April or May. What nutty timing, right? Okay, so we've kind of puzzled over this a bit last week. We talked mostly about options for holding a virtual election. The idea of postponing elections, especially since both the chair and vice chair are up for re-election currently, is really, I'm really reluctant to do so. It leaves me feeling a little queasy. I'm willing to make every effort we possibly can to hold our elections by mail, by email, by phone, by web form, by every avenue, every socially distanced avenue possible. Maggie has been working really hard with Steve on updating our member roster and getting everyone's contact information and addresses and everything confirmed. I think we can also very shortly here open up a sign up again and start sort of soliciting for new membership and allowing people to sign up for a membership who we've actually gotten a lot of increased traffic of people following our social media over the last year who might be interested in signing up for membership and participating in an election. And it might actually even be easier for a lot of people than making it down on one specific night and time of year. So there was a lot of discussion kind of around the possibility of holding our elections in that way. At the same time, there's really no real reasonable idea so far that has surfaced as for how we would possibly hold a member meeting before the end of May, which even if the executive order were to be loosened according to everything we're seeing right now, there is very little likelihood that we would be looking at any possibility of gathering possibly in excess of 100 people before the end of May. That being said, I noticed what I believe was probably written into our bylaws as an emergency clause, actually after our executive committee meeting, which is in section 4.5 of the bylaws, which describes the annual meeting of members and speaks to the fact that that is supposed to be held on a weekday evening in April or May, date and time and place to be designated by the board. At the end of that paragraph, in capital letters, if the annual meeting is not held on the date designated, therefore, the board of directors shall cause the meeting to be held as soon thereafter as convenient. That's a pretty open-ended clause closing out that that bylaw, and I think that whoever wrote that in there was probably writing that intentionally to allow for the possibility of a cancellation or postponement of the meeting, which I'm guessing, you know, even outside of global crisis can happen from time to time, even if it's just weather related. And go ahead, Jared, go ahead. You'll need to yeah, there we go.
Steve, did you you mentioned something today in a text message that there's at least citywide precedents based on a state law for postponement of annual meetings?
Yeah, I've been in contact with the other neighborhood association executive directors, and I had asked Pat, well, I'd asked all the executive directors about the status of their annual meetings and what they were doing in lieu of being able to meet publicly. And I heard back from Pat Taylor from the East Side Neighborhood Association that says that there is something within the Michigan state laws that say that, Jared, I think it said 90 days, if I remember correctly, that you,
I believe that's correct, what you said earlier.
you made a good faith effort, then yeah, I think you have 90 days to reschedule from that date. You just have to make an effort to publicize the meeting and let folks know that the meeting has been rescheduled.
Erin?
Yeah, has the option of doing like a Zoom webinar or like a web seminar style something for the meeting, has that been discussed at all?
I don't think that really came up. I'm not sure. I think Zoom can accommodate a really large number of people in a video conference, from like 100 and something, maybe.
It's 10,000.
10,000 in
Yeah.
one conference. That's
I think
incredible.
so. Yeah. But I mean, it depends on how, like what level of pricing. And obviously this is a discussion that we would have
Yeah.
probably at a different time, but
Yeah.
Zoom does offer a webinar function, which allows the speaker to be the only one who's seen, or a
Yeah.
group of speakers to be
Yeah.
the only ones who are seen. And then others
Right.
can participate via chat
Yeah.
or interactions like raising a hand, which strikes me as a really doable possibility for a meeting of that scale. So.
I would say that is definitely a good option for our annual board meeting, at which we will be like appointing specials, appointing officers and everything. And it seems like it could be an option for the community meeting as well. And I don't know, I guess that's the consideration to weigh between postponement, possibly doing a virtual meeting, possibly needing to postpone and then subsequently do a virtual meeting as well. These are all, go ahead, Jared.
Just as an aside, we currently have the pro level purchased for the Vine Neighborhood Association, which allows us to have 100.
Okay. I feel like our attendance in previous years has been generally under 100, if I can recall, but not by a lot. And I think that, sorry, Steve, I don't think you were muted, but were you saying something?
I wasn't.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Sorry. You're right. I think normally about anywhere from on the low end about 70 to about 80 some participants for probably the last 3 or 4 years.
Thank you. Jared?
One thing I would say is that a lot of the participants that we see share households. And so we might have 80, 90 people in attendance, but they might not necessarily have 80 or 90 instances of an account open if people are sharing a computer.
Mm-hmm.
And we could encourage that theoretically.
Mm-hmm. Another consideration is the fact that this is our 40th anniversary year at the VNA. We had kind of hoped for our annual meeting. Obviously, things have changed. We had kind of hoped for our annual meeting to be a real big celebration this year. And I think there are a lot of mixed feelings and mixed levels of opinions and understanding and just like basic information and knowledge of what we have to expect over the course of the next several months, and really maybe, like when things are going to be returning to the ability to do things without all of these social distancing restrictions, and how that's going to happen. So I guess that we have a number of options in front of us. One option being to, and I want to open this up. I'm going to start kind of recapping some of our options, but I want to allow people to add to that during this discussion if there are any additional ideas. But we had discussed a scheduling of the meeting with a subsequent postponement according to that clause in our bylaws. We had discussed a, I guess we have Aaron's proposal of a virtual meeting by Zoom of members, which I think would possibly be a little bit limiting in terms of households with access to Zoom. We would probably be excluding most of our senior residents in the neighborhood. I can say that seniors are just really not on video conferencing right now very much. Even with postponing the meeting, you know, we don't know whether we would be looking at a virtual meeting or an in-person meeting even later on. Because when you're talking about, you know, groups in excess of 50, who knows how long it might be before that will be allowed. This is kind of a decision I think we need to make as a group. I think we have the possibility of meeting as a board in May, similar to what we're doing right now. I want to also kind of hear people's opinions about the discussion around elections and whether there are any alternative proposals that people would make other than trying to hold a virtual election, or whether there's any divergent opinions about that. I feel really strongly about trying to continue pushing forward with our elections. I certainly don't feel super comfortable about about moving into a role exceeding my term of leadership without a mandate from the community, and also kind of extending people's terms beyond what they agreed to. That being said, I can happily report that I have confirmed with all of our special directors that they are all interested in serving another year on the board. I think that's fantastic news. And I kind of want to shut up now and encourage everybody to offer your ideas about both our member meeting and our elections.
I just want to quickly say I'm happy to continue coming to virtual board meetings until someone is found to fill my seat.
Thank you, Christina.
Cool. So obviously there's plenty of discussion to be had about this, which is why I'm gonna just throw out a suggestion that I think that a way to handle it, have a virtual meeting late May and spend the next month trying to reach out to folks in the community who are not, who don't have access to get on Zoom, to find a way to make that possible for them. So sort of like a education, resource sharing, figuring out a way to make sure that anyone who wants to be involved can be, sort of a campaign, I guess, over the next month, and then doing a virtual meeting at the end of May. That's my suggestion.
Thanks, Erin. Additionally, as in terms of the elections, I think that we would have, we would be pretty easily able to come up with a strategy where we would be able to solicit for votes by web form and publicizing that on our social media, along with just doing some phone banks and just like calling residents to allow them to vote by phone. And whoever we don't reach in that way, we can put together a mailing to send out a paper ballots to those who haven't yet submitted a vote, but kind of opening the voting window to, you know, at least a couple week window, and trying to get those results certified in time for our deadline. Go ahead, Jared.
My recommendation would be to just mail paper ballots. we have the capacity because we have the Vine line, so we have the capacity to hit every house in the neighborhood pretty easily. I think just putting out a ballot specific mailing that says, just literally here's, we can put like 2 ballots per household potentially, and then have people request more ballots. They can mail them back in or drop them off at the office. And that would make sure that literally everyone in the neighborhood has the opportunity to vote.
Yeah, definitely. I think mailing ballots is going to be a piece of the cocktail. I guess the suggestions about trying to solicit for as many votes in other avenues as possible is that our mailings generally come at an expense of almost $3,000 a pop to get things out to every resident of the neighborhood. And given our budget losses right now, minimizing mailings was one of the ideas for kind of curbing our losses a little bit. But absolutely, I think we need to make sure that we do reach every household that is on our roster. And Maggie, you had a comment or question?
I just wanted to say that I haven't pruned the list aggressively, but we have 206 members, because that's the other piece I think we need to talk about. I need to check the bylaws, but I'm not sure. I think you have to be a member of the neighborhood association to vote.
Yeah.
And we have in the past just sort of accepted showing up at the meeting and signing on the piece of paper as proxy for becoming a member. Not everyone who lives in the neighborhood is necessarily a member of the neighborhood association.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should be careful about making the Vine line or an online poll the way that we do a vote, because that does not have any way to vet whether or not someone is actually a member of the association.
Right. Yeah. And I think we could probably go live as soon as this week with a web form, or with some publication around soliciting for membership signups, and trying to get as many people as are interested to be registered as members. But yeah, we won't be having in-person member signups this year. I'm sorry, if I could ask just one quick for clarification. Did you say 260 or 206?
206.
Six.
And we have emails for 104 of them. So I think email should be the first line of contact. And then the total of 132 have either phone or email. So that doesn't leave us a huge chunk for which we only have an address. And that might get shorter when we go through, and I figure maybe what Steve and I will have to do is look at it, like ping it back and forth and say, hey, I don't think that person lives here anymore. Like I think one of the addresses is actually Brendan's address, and clearly Brendan lives there now. So that guy who's on the list,
Brad and Carol don't live there
house anymore, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a few that we'll take out that way, and that might make it even a little cleaner.
Thank you. And Steve and I had also discussed possibly doing like a postcard mailer to the neighborhood rather than mailing out our normal Vine line, just as a notice to curb costs, because that would be considerably cheaper than like the full packet that we usually send out. And even possibly just stamping those ourselves, and just trying to minimize the expense for that mailing. But still being able to reach everyone who wants to sign up, and just sending out kind of a sign up card or a way for people to know that they can sign up on our website, or just mail the card back to us.
I would advocate for putting a Facebook push and having a way for people to sign up to be members of the neighborhood association through the Facebook page. But that I think we need to be more specific about how we send out the ballot. Like I would not be in favor of doing even a postcard mailing of a ballot to the entire neighborhood.
Right. Just to clarify, my suggestion just now was a postcard mailing of a membership sign up card. And I think Aaron, there was someone over on the other side of the room that had their hand up. I'm sorry, I missed that one. Jared?
So in terms of so names that we have attached to emails make sense, provided that if we did a web form in order to confirm that the people who are voting are actually voting, it would make sense to tie those names to existing emails. So I think that maybe a step, to actually make sure that the right people who are voting would be to contact people that don't have emails, get an email on file, and then potentially do a web form, and then make sure that we match the email on file with the email that they submit on the web form. That would be the quickest and easiest way, I think, of at least partially confirming identity.
Thank you. Jen, I think, is just waving to the.
I'm just waving.
Yeah, okay.
Remy has a question in the chat.
Hey, Remy.
Hey, I was just asking if there was like an ability to call people, or is there a call-in number or something telephonically that can be done?
Yeah, I think one thing that we can supplement an online web form, an email ballot, possibly other types of digital media would be to do some phone banking and just make sure that if anybody we have not heard any sort of feedback from, that we reach out to people by phone, because we do have a lot. I think we have a lot of phone numbers for people as well, and if we don't, we can put a call out for people to send us their phone numbers if they want to vote by phone, or to just reach out to us by phone to do that. Although phone is a little bit tricky right now just because of limited office hours of our staff, and whether people are willing to provide their personal contact information for people to call for voting, because the office phone right now is pretty much directing people to contact us by email. Go ahead, Jared.
I just also wanted to point out that we do have a membership sign up web form on the website that goes directly into Steve's mailbox. So that's already in place.
Yep, thank you. Aaron, and then Brendan. Sorry, Aaron B, and then, no, oh.
I didn't have anything.
Oh, sorry, okay, Brendan.
My thing is, I feel weird talking about this if I'm running for a position or whatnot. So I kind of want to abstain from, influencing people in whatever direction. But as someone running for a position, especially, I think we got to think about, how other people are running for other board positions. How are we, usually it's, you stand up at O'Duffy's and give everyone a toast or something like that. But, how are we letting people put their information out there, or, display their values to the group?
Yeah, that's another piece of it is I've heard from one person so far. Steve, I don't know if you've heard from anyone so far who has expressed an interest in running for the board this year. I did hear from Angel, who had previously been the one that we were identifying as a candidate for a AmeriCorps position, that she's interested in possibly running for a vacancy on the board, if there were any. And I think that along with opening some solicitation for member sign up, we would simultaneously really need to be opening some simultaneous solicitation for people who are interested in running for the board. Like, yeah, I feel similarly. It's I'm reluctant to do anything but kind of encourage as many people as we possibly can who are interested in running for any of the three positions to do that. Obviously, like, there's some added worries right now that, like, are we going to be able to reach people the way that we normally would. I know with a lot of our previous nominations, Steve, a lot of those have come through your office, like a whole lot of them.
Yes.
And so there's some concerns about whether we would be adequately reaching people to make sure that anybody who's interested in running knows about what's going on and feels like they have that opportunity. Erin, go ahead.
Yeah, two things. First off, I want to say I'm really glad we're having this conversation at all, because I think that even despite the strange circumstance, there has been like a level of gatekeeping up until this point with who gets to run, who can make it to the, meeting to vote and stay the whole time and vote in person. So I'm glad that we're talking about ways to open this up more, and I hope that we can keep some of those as practices even beyond this strange situation. The other suggestion that I had was, what if we mailed out a ballot where the first half was sign up to be, a member of the neighborhood association, and then the bottom half was the candidate information and who to vote for, so that we are automatically having people register as members of the association when they get the ballot. Therefore, nobody who votes would not be registered.
And actually, Eddie had your hand up, and then Jared.
Yes, Erin.
I had a to what Erin said, but I do want to say that I really like Erin's idea. I like the idea of being able to register for membership while you're voting. I worked for a nonprofit that had that same opportunity to be able to register and update your membership. I think that might give a good opportunity for people to even just update the information for their membership. So there's a second reason why we should consider doing that. I'm hearing concern about members being able to vote, but I will say that most of our board members that are running tend to have accessibility for email or Zoom meetings. Like we're not missing anyone because of a lack of technology. So just trying to put that out there too, that most people do have access to some form of technology. And I think we might be pleasantly surprised to find out how many would do just fine with email. We might want to think about doing it in a tier system where we do a blast, social media and email, and try to get as many people to notice as possible. Because I know sometimes I'm guilty of throwing away mail if it's stuck between bills, I'm not going to look at it. But maybe we can be creative about how we reach out to members in multiple ways, and echoing Erin's idea, but to reiterate the importance of it, allowing members to update their information at this time too.
I'm sorry. I think I have to ask a question for clarity, and I'm just going to chalk this up to being kind of new. Who exactly is voting? Because I'm hearing us talk about members, and then I'm hearing us talk about all the residents. So who's able to vote?
Yeah.
Membership.
Eligible to vote.
Okay.
When we're talking about at-large board member seats, of which there are 3 up for re-election every year, that election is open to Vine Neighborhood Association members. We've always historically allowed for same-day registration where people can sign up to be a member if they come to the annual meeting. But we have—
Okay, so the whole part about reaching every resident in the neighborhood would not be we wouldn't be sending them a ballot. We'd be sending them the opportunity to become a member so that they can vote.
That was my earlier suggestion, but then there was another suggestion made that the mailing would include kind of like both in one go, where they could do both on one card. Go ahead, Erin H.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
I have not actually attended one of these yet, and my understanding is, like, in past, there's the opportunity for anyone running to give sort of their spiel on like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Erin B's idea as an addition to that, maybe like for keeping in mind that we're like a postcard, right? That was kind of like a postcard idea for cost effectiveness. but adding also maybe like a link to meet the candidates. And so that people can understand who they're voting for, and maybe to like have like either a written bio or like a video of whoever's running, sort of just telling about themselves and, you know, why, as, you know, missing that piece of it that from not having attended in person and be able to hear.
Yeah, thank you. Jared?
I was actually going to say the exact same thing Aaron just said. Also, Brian, to clarify what constitutes membership, it's anyone who works or lives in the Vine neighborhood. And then the third thing, which is what I was waiting on earlier, is that we do have an application for board of director positions on the website as well. So routing those links up wouldn't be super difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. it's
Okay, so
hard
sorry,
to-
now I have to ask another clarifying
And just to
question, 'cause
clarify as
I
well,
think that what Jared just said added more confusion for me. So what constitutes a member is anybody who works or lives
So,
in Vine.
yeah, let me address that because I can understand.
Not somebody signing up to intentionally become a member.
Yeah, we have, so we have an opt-in system for membership. And, you know, in, those would be the two options. If we had an opt-out system, we would automatically consider everyone who lived or worked in the Vine neighborhood to be a member of the VNA. And then you would have to opt out if you didn't want to be one, but we have an opt-in system. And so people have to actually explicitly sign up for membership, usually via, most have done it via this physical membership card that we have available, but some people have signed up via a web form, which we do have on our website for people to sign up to be a member.
Okay, so that's not the same as what Jared said. Being a resident and working here does not constitute membership. You have
That's
to
the
opt in.
membership
Eligibility.
It makes you
Sorry.
eligible. Oh, okay, okay.
Sorry.
Thank you. Thank
My
you.
mistake.
I would like to just ask, Sarah, do you have your bylaws handy?
Yeah.
I would like to just review, because I should have read this before we had the meeting. I'm sorry I didn't think of it, but I know that our requirements, we have specific requirements for what constitutes a valid annual meeting for the purposes of voting. And Steve, remind me, maybe you remember this. It's either I think there's two parts. And option one is like a percentage of the number of our members, and the other one is a percentage of the number of people who came to the previous annual meeting. Does that ring a bell?
Yes. Yeah.
I think that we might want to discuss how do we make sure we stay within those parameters of our bylaws, given that all these things that we're discussing are very different from, hey, come have a beer and we'll all chat about this as a bunch of neighbors. I
Yeah,
think
and
we have a potential for having really different numbers, either higher or lower, and perhaps we could have a lot of people who sign up to be members, which would be great, but then that changes our metrics. And I think we should at least have that be part of our discussion about how we want to do this so that we don't run ourselves into a mistake that we didn't see coming.
Yep. The quorum of members is met by the presence of 5 voting members or the presence of 10% of the average number of members who attended the 2 preceding annual meetings of members. So we would need to have our attendance numbers from the previous 2 years' meetings, which I believe we should have. And obviously that number of 10% of that average is going to be higher than 5. So that would be the quorum number for this year. And presumably anybody who signs up for membership during the election process would likely kind of actually alleviate that that pressure on quorum by distributing the ratio down a little bit. Go ahead, Jared.
So are we sure that we can actually separate the vote from the meeting? Because it's sounding more and more like that might not even be an option. And it might need to be a physical meeting by bylaws.
I mean, can I ask a question too? Go ahead. Go ahead, Sarah.
No, Remy, you go.
Well, like, why is it like if we have 90 days from the point, like, if we have 90 days, then why are we considering this right now? Is this like a contingency if within 90 days we still are under a shelter in place, you know, order, or what is the, why are we
I believe
approaching it?
Sarah's concern is that, especially since 2 of our executive committee members are up for re-election, that she does not want to unnaturally extend their positions if we can.
Can we just motion to extend the positions until the 90 days?
I don't believe that's necessary if we decide to reschedule. I believe the
Right,
reschedule.
if the meeting was postponed, I think that would automatically be part of it. Just to provide a little bit more clarification from our bylaws under the vote of members, section 412, there is included in that language, a member wishing to vote by proxy shall obtain an official proxy form from the corporation prior to the election before the meeting of the members commences. And I know this isn't exactly speaking to a virtual vote, but it's probably the closest that's actually written in there, considering that we didn't even probably write these bylaws considering the possibility of virtual voting. Vote by proxy shall obtain an official proxy form from the corporation prior to the election. And the person holding the proxy shall notify the chairperson, et cetera, et cetera. So it does kind of have a clause in there allowing for proxy voting, which we would essentially be instituting for all of our members, given the circumstances. I think that's one of a couple of possibilities, but you know, I really appreciate everybody's variety of suggestions and options, and I think we have a hard decision. Jared?
We could also put ballot boxes up on the corners too, like where we could do that. Is there, we could put ballot boxes up.
That's
with
the thing in some states and cities.
Yeah,
that's a really good idea.
Thanks, Remy.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what is, and one more thing for clarity, why can't we have a vacancy until, I mean, we can't have a vacancy for a little bit?
Yeah, we can have one. Yeah.
Okay, well, okay, all right. Okay, well, okay.
But we can't have a vacancy of the chair and vice chair positions. So if we either would need to extend the current terms, or we would need to reappoint officers for our 2020-2021 year.
Or
Jared?
perhaps have an interim.
That's right.
Oh,
Yep.
Jinx, Remy. You owe me something.
Jared?
I would just say that I don't particularly see a huge issue in deviating within 90 days of the initial scheduled meeting. I personally don't see a huge need to get an election rolling now, rather than just doing it the old-fashioned way, but maybe a month or 2 later than expected.
What was the motion that
and I
Christina
personally,
I don't think we've had a motion.
yeah, there are no motions. I don't believe there are motions on the table. But my thought is just you know, it makes sense to me to just reschedule within the allotted 90-day timeline, provided that everything's out that way.
Thanks, Jared. Aaron B?
I want to say that I want to make sure that we're also considering other options, because the idea of just doing what we've always done but pushing it out so we can continue to do it that way, I don't know. I mean, I think that there is like a potential to reach more people than we usually do and to get more engagement. I'm not saying that we have to stick to the timeline and we have to do it by the end of May, because anything in the bylaws that's prohibiting us from getting work done right now that isn't serving us, I think we should just look at working around, quite frankly, because the bylaws were not written to contend with what we're contending with right now. But I think that in addition to moving the timeline out so that we have enough time to get some stuff done, I think it would really be worth our time and effort and discussion to, you know, start to talk about how this might look different or how we can make it look different and improve it, rather than just pushing out the timeline and doing what we've always done because it works for us. I think that we really do have a possibility to bring more people in here and to get like more equitable outcomes.
Thank you, Erin. And I just want to add a point of clarification as far as your comments about things in the bylaws that are a little bit antiquated. The bylaws do allow for changes and updates, of course, to be made to themselves. And under the circumstances that we have right now, that the way that it's described in there requires a member vote, by a member vote. Generally, it would be at an annual meeting, or by a consensus. In this case, a consensus written in written vote, or I think even a consensus. We would need a consensus even in our Zoom platform or our virtual platform to make updates, but those updates are available to us.
Can I ask something based on what Erin just said? Is that okay, or do I need to do something official? Oh, thank you. Okay. My question, I'm gonna restate what I thought I heard you say, Erin. So if I'm inaccurate, please correct me. I'm hearing you say that based on what our current circumstances are, this is an opportunity for us to reimagine how to engage with this process in a way where we can do this and employ strategies that are more equitable, so that we can this is an opportunity for us to revisit what our process is. And we should take the ability to extend this, but by virtue of the fact that we're experiencing these things, this 90 days, to reimagine how we can get more feedback and engagement from the people that are eligible to vote, by engaging them through, if that means like creating new ways to engage people and or new ways to encourage voting, and to connect with the people in the neighborhood that live or work here that are eligible to vote, then we should be taking this opportunity to reimagine how to do that. Is that what I'm hearing too, Erin?
Absolutely. Okay. And after hearing you say that, I want to tack on one more thing that I forgot to say, which is just because it may be quote unquote legal to have a gathering of 100 people in like 1 month's time doesn't mean that that's necessarily a safe or ethical thing to do.
Sure. Got you. Amen.
But sorry, go ahead, Remy, if you were gonna keep going.
No, I was just being myself. Amen. Good job. I like it.
Thank you both. Thank you both so much. Very valuable comments from everybody tonight. Go ahead, Erin H.
As I'm listening to everyone, is there a way that we can like combine all these? Like, so I heard someone say we could do, like an interim assignment for executive positions. As an events person, like I totally agree. I'm super cautious about, in a month, no way, but like still having the possibility of having this event in a few months while we have, someone said like a 90-day interim like position appointed. Is there a way that we can like just extend the positions and then, have it be sort of still do our 40th anniversary?
I think rescheduling serves as also extending those terms.
Right, yeah, those terms would automatically be extended, so we wouldn't really have the need for an interim position unless any of the current officers needed to step down. But I guess what I would, my immediate thought as far as that goes is that if we are discussing the possibility of an up to 90-day postponement of our meeting and or elections, that we would still be required to meet during the month of May as a board. It just would not be our annual board meeting. It would not involve those elections. It could possibly still involve reappointment of our specials. I think we could consider that. But I would ask everybody to kind of consider whether that would be something that we would want to decide tonight, or possibly, given the circumstances and the way things are quickly changing from week to week, and coming up on May 1st, being a pretty big date right in front of us right now, and not really knowing how things are going to change. Although the governor did yesterday confirm that she does intend to extend the stay-at-home order past May 1st, but hasn't given a date yet, that we just consider all of those things. And Jared, and then Aaron H.
Just wanted to point out that it's 7:03, which I believe is our hour-and-a-half meeting length limitation. And so I wonder if we might want to consider kicking this into an ad hoc committee or moving it to the executive committee.
Thank you. Aaron?
I was just going to quickly add, also incorporating into my question, which you answered. I also like the idea of, new avenues. And I think if we have more time, we can, in the interim time, still, incorporate new ways of getting people involved. And
Aaron?
Okay. I would like to motion to kindly request that the executive committee come up with 3 fully fleshed out options for how we might bring this to life based on different things that were said and opinions that were shared in this meeting. And then that the full board could vote on them at next month's meeting. I don't know if it's like within my power to like volunteer you to do something, but I'm gonna try it.
It is, and I support.
Thank you. Actually, I don't think your motion is something that's necessarily going to require a board authorization, and I feel pretty strongly that the executive committee would be happy to fulfill that request either way. So, does anyone want to add anything to Aaron's request, or because I think we're all ears right now, and this is kind of why we're here. I think especially Brendan and myself are really eager to really kind of get the recommendations of you all as to how to move forward right now. And we want to listen to that. And so I don't, unless Jared or Maggie, you have anything to add or any questions, I don't see any issues with moving in that direction.
I would only say that we should probably just have a meeting maybe next week or the week after, a little quicker than our normal executive.
Yeah,
committee.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
I would like to add to Aaron's volunteering that I want to like maybe email somebody or talk to like contribute like maybe some ideas and maybe like share them with like how we could do that, like the polling on the on the corner, and maybe an event, it's just something that how we can engage community in a fun way. Like I love your Aaron, the other Aaron, I love your idea about the event, maybe outside. Y'all like to do trails and stuff in the neighborhood. We could do some sidewalk chalking stuff, and I mean there's all kind of different cool things that we can be doing to encourage participation and creating like an event through social distancing. I'm my wheels are turning. There's so many cool things that can be done right now.
Yeah.
I wish we could brainstorm it more together, but time. So
well, we can continue to brainstorm. Everybody who has a spark of idea after tonight, please email it to our email thread for this meeting and keep the conversation going. And I am going to, in absence of what sounds like we're not quite ready to decide on the path at this moment, which we have a little bit more time to make this decision. If the executive committee were to meet within the next week or so, it is possible that we would be able to come out with some proposals sooner than next month's meeting and be able to do that via an electronic written vote, which would require consensus. Given absence of that, we would be able to return to it during our May scheduled time. But I think, unless Jared, you had something to add, I just kind of wanted to move to our last items on the agenda for tonight so we can quickly address those things.
I was only going to say that the executive committee meetings are always open. So
Yeah,
if anybody else wanted to
definitely.
jump into
Yeah,
that.
and I think for our next executive committee meeting, Jared, if you would make sure that we just invite the full board to participate that, anybody who wants to join us for that next meeting, you're definitely welcome to. And Aaron B, you had one more.
I was gonna ask how to join if I wanted to. So
Yeah, we'll send
would
an
love
invite.
to get an email with the Zoom
For
link.
sure
Yeah.
send an invite. Yeah, definitely. I think I'm gonna table item 4D to what we just kind of, I think got started with a conversation of, which is, in a similar vein, which is kind of brainstorming some ideas for how to create equity in this process. I think we also really need to remember our roles right now as a board to serve our community. We are not we did not join this board thinking that we were going to be the pandemic board, right? But we are that board right now for the Vine neighborhood. And I think more than any other organization, the Vine neighborhood is going to continue to look to us for some leadership and for some support as things evolve and play out and different and greater needs may arise. Take a look at some of the items that are included there on the agenda as far as previously proposed relief efforts. Brendan brought up the idea of procuring gift cards from operational Vine neighborhood, or sorry, kind of like furloughed Vine neighborhood businesses or operational ones. In order to distribute those to residents. Mentioned the Downtown Dollars program, getting some of our Vine businesses involved in that program. I want to solicit for people to please email again in our thread for this meeting, other ideas for any existing programs that you're aware of that may really make a lot of sense to connect our residents to right now, or to implement in the Vine neighborhood that maybe are going on in other places or in your own realms. And also just kind of new ideas for things that might not yet exist, but might be something that would be in our purview and things that we could start doing. We have the Vine distro team going right now, basically delivering groceries, picking, shopping, personal shoppers kind of system for people who really need it right now. And I know that everybody in this quote room has a lot of really good ideas in your head. So please, can we continue a conversation by email about all of those things? I do want to give just a couple of minutes at the tail end of this for quick reports from Steve and Jen, and a very quick one from myself, and then just a few minutes for comments. I know we didn't make it to our hour-and-a-half goal this month. I know that we were all really excited about that, but I think circumstances have once again led us to exceed our threshold for that. But if everyone can be patient, we will try to wrap up by 7:30 at the very latest. So Steve, we are
Thank you.
all ears
Ready?
for what you've been up to in the last couple of months.
Keeping lots of contact with the city, with the other neighborhood association executive directors. The other neighborhood associations have ceased doing anything. The doors have been closed since March 13th. Working with LISC, we had a great advocate in Kathy Roberts, who many of you have met. I'm not sure if she attended a full board meeting, but she's been someone that we've been working closely with for probably 2, maybe 3 years or so now. She was really the strong push for us to receive the $5,000 in rent relief from LISC. She left the organization last Monday, which was a surprise to me, but hopefully it was not a surprise to Kathy, and she's doing well. I'm working with Sonia Dean, who I've known, who's also worked at LISC for as long as I've been at Vine. She's been at LISC. So she's making sure that some of the the $5,000 rent relief comes through, as well as the facade improvement that Kathy was hugely instrumental. That was a small grant that John and I wrote, and that was a $25,000 award that LISC had given us. So we're still in line to receive these funds, just making sure that that connection stays active and vibrant. The other, as I said, the other executive directors have been very helpful. Their doors are closed right now, but they're offering lots of information. We meet once a week via Zoom. And if you guys think that I'm a little tardy with the technology, I am the youngest of the executive directors. So we are all kicking and screaming Buck Rogers like into the 21st century. I did have an opportunity that I had wanted to talk about, and that was that a pop-up market is going to be happening here in Vine that the city is going to support. If anyone is interested, that we're looking for 2 neighborhood entrepreneurs, 2 board members. I will be sitting on it myself. If anyone is interested, I will be glad to send out the email. The city will be providing a consultant. I'm not sure who that will be at this time, but this will be, the committee will be looking at how to help shape and launch and run the market here in Vine. I will talk with Leo Gadeen, who is our legal counsel at Miller Canfield, about some of the questions I've been writing down in terms of the annual meeting and the legalities, some of the issues around that. Maggie and I are working on the contact information for membership and looking over the list, and there are a number of folks that we can definitely parcel off the list. This has not been updated for a long time. I am in contact with Nicole Wilson, who is our AmeriCorps worker. I think she's dialed back her Vine hours considerably. She is working, she has 2 other jobs outside of the Vine Association. And right now she's working on hand sanitizer at one of the other locations she's employed by. So I think that's it on my end. I'm in the office right now. I have not actually just recreated the office in my own house. I'm actually physically in the office. But I'm looking at the distribution room. I'm just really, really proud. There's all sorts of great, all sorts of supplies in there, toiletries and diapers and food. And I want to tip my hat. I'm not sure who else has been involved, but I know that Eddie has been hugely instrumental, and her partner Andrew as well. Just kudos, kudos galore for that. And I'm real proud of that. We do have the distribution box outside out here, and that's been nice to see. That's been filled. Working with I continue to talk. I'm up at the office Tuesdays and Thursdays for a couple of hours each time. And I've had opportunities to talk to Deborah from Bagel Beanery, just making sure that the commercial tenants feel like that they are assured that we are not looking to evict anyone during these turbulent and uncertain times. So that's the director's report for this month. I'm glad to answer any questions if anyone has any.
Thank you, Steve. Did anybody have any questions? If not, Jen, if you want to take just a minute or 2 to recap what things have been like over there for you. Uh-oh, you're still muted.
Oh, well, Jen's unmuting.
There we go. Oh.
Yay!
I just wanted to put out there that the most fantastic news we received in the last week was that the 990, the tardy taxes had been done. And I went to the CPA's office and signed those and mailed those. So that's a tremendous burden off my personal back and professional back, and I'm glad to have that done.
Yes, absolutely.
So I don't really have a ton of updates other than what we've been talking about with rent, but I did want to mention, Steve just mentioned the facade grant that we got from LISC. So really excited about that, because as soon as the world does reopen, we will have a brand new look coming upon our building, which I hope will give our community a lot of sense of like happiness when they are able to leave their homes. We are on a pause right now for our conditional certificate on 913. So we have a conditional certificate for having the house repainted. Obviously, I'm kind of pausing that until I know when people can go back to those type of work obligations. And the city is not doing any inspections right now. So that's just on hold. And then if you don't currently have access to our Google Calendar and you would like to, I am trying to reach out to anyone that comes into the office. So if you happen to know anyone that has access other than our tenants, to find out about special events that we're doing out of the office, I want to start blocking that off in the calendar so that other people, when they're coming into the office, kind of know how to reduce traffic, since we do have over 7 office spaces rented, which doesn't include the number of people walking in and out. So I'm really trying to get a good handle as people are coming back. How will they be using the office? Because we hold several meetings in the boardroom as well. So if you have any special events or any special requests or anything that's coming up that would be done in the office, if you could email me and let me know so that I can add that to the Google Calendar. I think that that would be nice for the people who do rent from us to know. Some people may not feel comfortable coming into the office if there are several other people there at the same time.
Thank you, Jen. Yeah, that facade grant is big news, big exciting news. Yeah, Maggie, go ahead. You're mute. Yeah, there we go.
I just want to take a minute at the end of both of your reports and thank you both for the exceptional leadership that you have shown in guiding us through this really difficult time and helping us to keep on track with having a moral compass that really represents our goals as a neighborhood association in looking after our neighborhood and our neighbors as a whole. Thank you very much. You guys are awesome. Thank you for everything you do.
Thanks, Maggie.
Thanks, Maggie.
Motion.
What's that?
Yeah, you both have been extraordinary to do business with in this last couple months. I don't think any of us could ask for a better team than who we have right now. And, you know, just like, you know, the same applies that nobody signed on to be the head of a nonprofit or managing this unwieldy property during a global pandemic, but here we are, and everybody has just stepped up to the plate, like, and gone way beyond. You've just both been going way beyond, and it's so appreciated by us.
Super nice. Can I say 2 more things? I'm sorry, I forgot to update everyone.
Yeah.
I would be remiss if I didn't say we are done with our construction loan projects. We've fully paid out, but because the title company is not open to get endorsement on our notary item for our sworn statement, we are holding on our last reimbursement. So we know we're going to get a reimbursed for our roofing project, but we also had 10% of that on reserve, which is what, $7,600. So we're going to be getting that back, and we had originally kind of slotted that for other projects, but because we're doing so much rent relief, we are going to be setting that aside for part of the reimbursement that we'll need, that we're not getting from outside sources. Sorry, I wanted to mention that. So that's $7,600 that's going to be coming back to us from the loan that we did. And then we have a $20,000 sworn statement that's out right now. I don't have any other major projects that we did not already commit to out there right now, just because of unknown timeframes. But once we do get back to more lenient essential work, I'll start bidding out on some other projects that we have in mind.
Thank you. Thank you so much. My very, very quick report is just that obviously most of our committee meetings have been in recess lately, so that has kind of slowed things in that realm quite a bit for board oversight in general. And I wanted to make sure that we're kind of thinking ahead to our 2020-21 term, and have been reaching out to confirm people's intentions about you know, what we might envision this board looking like in the next year, and got, like I said, some really positive information out of that. And I had to make the pretty hard and reluctant choice pretty early on, just to give clarification on the record that both of our staff are under the executive order considered essential employees. And although both of our staff are working remotely as much as is absolutely possible, there are just certain responsibilities that require them to be on site. And I've kind of hesitated to do so up until recently, but for a couple of different reasons, I'm going to draft a letter for Steve designating that officially, and then he will be providing one for Jen as well. We just, I think for a number of reasons, it's the best thing to do at this point. I spent quite a bit of time last month coordinating for our first rent relief, our first wave of rent relief, and putting together the press release that went out to quite a few local news organizations. We did get some coverage on Channel 3. I was pretty embarrassed to find out that a lot of my residents at work and people I hadn't talked to in years telling me that they saw me on the news. But that's just really not my favorite thing. But I think it's really great that we have gotten some word out to the community, because a big part of the point of doing this was to set an example that we hope others will follow, you know, and honestly try to put a little bit of pressure on people to step up to the plate too, so that we're not the only ones, you know, putting people ahead of the economy right now. And next week, so we had News 3 coverage and second wave media, and next week I'm going to be talking to someone from MLive who wanted to follow up after they found out what our 90-day rollout was going to include, and just kind of checking in quite a bit with our staff. And we have a PPP, gosh, I'm blanking on it right now. We have a employee, I don't remember what the acronym stands for at the moment anyway, but the SBA loans that are offered for payroll protection program, there we go, application that is kind of paused at the moment due to the fund drying up early in the week, as some of you might have seen on national news. After 2 weeks, the funding for that program ran out, and I think Congress is kind of under a lot of pressure to renew some additional funds for that program, which we are intending to apply to, which could provide as much as what could be. Initial estimates are tough because the details on this application process are slim and vague, but the PPP application, which is a forgivable loan based on meeting criteria of maintaining employment through your small business, could provide us with somewhere up to maybe $20,000 to $25,000 in relief if we were to get that approved. So that as soon as they do renew that fund, which I fully expect they will kind of have to, then we'll be moving forward with that application as well. And Steve has been working on some similar efforts to receive some relief funding and also allocate our $9,800 reserve from the city for capacity building to some more practical uses of those funds for our basic operations. In order to recover some of our losses. So that's it for me. And then we've
Can
got.
I add something onto that?
Yes,
I believe I heard in my last meeting that like just over an hour ago that passed.
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh, that they just passed it. Okay.
Yeah.
Good news.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you. We have all of 4 minutes.
Sarah, can I just take one moment to thank you for your leadership throughout this? It's been great to work with you on this. I appreciate your willingness to roll up your sleeves. And as you said, like, this is not anything that anybody, when they gave their speech at O'Duffy's, this is not what people were talking about. So thank you. I appreciate your leadership. And
thanks everybody. You know, like, y'all are amazing. And quite honestly, there's a whole bunch of groups of people out there that I would not work so hard for, but I do it for you and I do it for Vine because this neighborhood's amazing, and it gives me so much more than I give.
Well,
So
thank the board too, for sure. The board as a whole, thank you.
do we have any sort of like miscellaneous kind of hanging thoughts at the end of the night that people want to contribute in closing?
No, but thanks for living the actual mission vision of the Vine as a board and supporting the staff and helping us to support those that are renting from us. I really appreciate, Sarah, you've been amazing and you really have been putting in a lot of work, and I really do appreciate the constant texts and phone calls and letters and support.
Well, you all will get an invite to our soon to be confirmed executive committee meeting coming up sooner than the normal scheduled time. So whoever can join us for that, really, we definitely could use your ideas and your feedback right now. We're in a strange sort of precarious position at the moment with both our chair and vice chair being kind of, you know, the two of us are in, as you all can tell, a little bit of a strange set of circumstances at the moment. And I really want to kind of hear from people as much as possible about what the board's vision is for what we're going to do to move forward. So please participate to the extent that you can, but also forgive yourself to the extent that you need to prioritize the important things in your life and take care of yourself.
Sarah?
Jeremy?
So I'd like to leave everybody with something that the Eagles and the Elks attribute to most things. And it is a little thing that we do during an initiation. And it's always my fellow board members. Although the world may scoff and jest, a life of service is the best, and happiness will always be to them who serve humanity. And keep that with you during all this.
That was so cute, Jeremy.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Y'all see my orchid? Look.
Thank you.
That's beautiful.
I know. Is she pretty?
She's so happy.
How we kept that blooming for a month? What the heck?
I know. And I got cacti in here. I got all kind of stuff.
I killed my orchid.
Good looking.
Did you?
Well, we will one way or another meet again next month, everyone. And unless I see you sooner, if you want to join us for the EC. But until then, I will miss your spaces, and I miss even more seeing you all in person, which we will do again someday.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.